someone hollers out to you, you know, hey, Chief.
In order to get me up, he called me a stupid N-word.
Some black people started calling me cracker. I didn't think anything of it because I had no idea what the term cracker meant.
I came home from school one afternoon and walked up my doorway and found a swastika hanging on my door.
If somebody calls me chink or something, I take that as a joke.
These are the voices of people who have been wounded by words, words that hurt.
I immediately started crying because I realized that there are so many prejudiced comments made in school.
The words may have been fueled by racism or a simple misunderstanding.
I remember coming into the room and I had a Coke can in my hand and I said something about Pop and you said...
I said, hey boy, where do you come from that you call a soda pop?
And I said, girl, where are you from that you would call a black man boy here in the South?
I thought you were just joking at first.
No.
I took it as a joke.
Oh, wow.
But I knew you weren't joking when I heard the tone of your voice. I didn't understand what you meant. I mean, I called everybody boy. Hey boy, what's going on?
Yeah.
And it took you and a few other people to tell me that using boy toward a black man was a derogatory term, but I since have never called a black man boy.
Now, that's a conversation that I personally overheard several years ago between the two people you just saw, Jessica Brown and C.J. Johnson. That was your basic misunderstanding that had the potential to be a racial incident leaving bad feelings. Good evening, I'm Ramona Logan. Sometimes all it takes is a little conversation to take a misunderstanding to a level of understanding. But countless times a day, the bridge to understanding is never crossed because the path of simple communication is not taken. Some tolerate things they don't understand, things that offend, because racial issues seems like such a hotbed of controversy, it's thought best to avoid it. What we'd like to do tonight is show you how some people have found a way to go beyond tolerance to communication and understanding of racial issues. They were willing to share how they were able to work through a perceived racial conflict or racial insensitivity.
Edna Pemberton and Javier Garcia have gone beyond tolerance with their working relationship to friendship, working on community projects together.
Okay, just about ready. Okay, yeah.
But their friendship began with friction. From the first day Edna started as an assistant manager at a mostly Hispanic store.
And I felt like the Hispanics didn't like me, and I didn't like them because they were Hispanic. I didn't like them because I couldn't identify.
Well, first we think she got an attitude towards us, you know, and we was Hispanics and she was black. We thought it was more an attitude.
And I became public enemy number one.
Yes. Me and her, we used to have big arguments.
I would cry many days. You know, I would sit in my car and have lunch.
Ironically, lunch is where they were able to make peace. Once a week, store workers started going to lunch together, with communication and understanding the main ingredients.
We started helping each other, you know, with our problems and stuff like that.
And then we started talking. You know, I mean, really heart to heart like we can do now. We can
start realizing as a person, we like each other.
Only then did Edna and Javier, victims of stereotypes because they are minorities, discover they had been stereotyping each other.
I thought that I was okay, and I thought that I didn't have a Hispanic problem, but I found out that I was guilty also, that I was just as racist in that fashion as he was. I had preconceived ideas. For example,
I did have the same problem too.
Still think it was a race
problem? Oh, no. It was a me problem, and it was my preconceived ideas.
Well, it was a people problem and attitude problem in first, you know, most of the time. But we don't look at it that way. We thought there was a racial problem.
So how do you get past the stereotypes buried back in your mind so deep you may not even know they exist? First, you have to be aware of stereotypes that set up barriers on your line of communication when racially sensitive subjects are discussed. To check out whether you stereotype, we have a test you can take throughout the program.
Meet LD Dabney and Jim Young. Jim is the assistant to the chairman of EDS, a $14 billion company. LD is the president of Regional Health Supply, a $50 million company. This stereotype test is a real whodunit. All you have to do is decide who did what.
I held my first job at the age of 10. I worked in the cotton fields from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. and was paid $2.50 a day. How many thought that was LD? How many thought it was Jim?
Who was personally blessed by the Pope, Jim or LD? Who personally knows 6 Nobel laureates? Whose favorite food is Iranian? In our next segment, we will take a look at the racial attitudes of 4 generations of one American family.